So everybody knows about Inside the NBA on TNT. That's one of the hallmark pregame shows for the NBA, much like the NFL on Fox is one of the hallmark pregame shows for the NFL. And much like the NFL, Inside the NBA has a crew of hosts that consist of Hall of Fame all-time great players in the sport of basketball, no doubt. Now, last night we got some comments coming from Charles Barkley, Sir Charles, as you may know him, about the situation regarding Breonna Taylor and her tragic death that occurred when police officers were executing a no-knock warrant and she was fatally shot after her boyfriend had shot through the door in what many people are explaining as, him protecting himself, using his Second Amendment right to defend his homestead. Those aren't arguments that I'm going to make here. There's nothing about any of those details that I am going to make an argument for or against in this video, because that's not what this video is about. This video is about the comments that were made by Charles Barkley and whether or not they actually hold merit. Now, if you haven't heard the comments that were made, mainly these comments were made in regard to the comparing this case to a situation like George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery. Barkley says that he doesn't really see the connection to put these stories in together as part of a narrative that will fit and sync with a lot of the issues that are being discussed in the moment. But let's take a look at the video and then we'll talk some more about that.
Just bad the young lady lost her life, but we do have to take into account that her boyfriend did shoot at the cops and shot a cop. So like I say, even though I'm really sorry she lost her life, I don't think that we can just say we can put this in the same situation with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. I just don't believe that.
As you can see from the video, Barkley is adamant about the issue between Breonna Taylor's boyfriend actually taking a shot at the plainclothes police and that causing the reaction of the gunfire that was sent into their apartment. Barkley actually got some agreement in regard to his stance from Shaquille O'Neal, who also agreed that this was not the same as what happened with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. Those cases are much different, much more straightforward with facts as we know it, and video footage there to support any of the evidence that may be in dispute. We don't necessarily have that for the Breonna Taylor case, but I do know that Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal do have a legitimate point in what they're saying. I mean, has anybody ever heard of taking a shot at police and not getting shots back? That is, pretty much as much of a guarantee as death and taxes. You shoot at a cop, you're gonna get shot back at. That's not something that I think anyone would be surprised to know. But in this situation, I think a lot of people are coming after Charles Barkley. A lot of people are coming after Shaquille O'Neal because they're not just lock in step with what the narrative is for people who are, visibly upset by the decision that came out regarding her case. Now, I am not myself giving my opinion or necessarily trying to convince someone of what I think happened and how I think it should have played out, now that we have the decision from the grand jury. But I do believe that what Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley are talking about is relevant enough to warrant a little bit of discussion. And, these guys are Hall of Fame basketball players, huge platform. And, I think that it's fair to look at what they're saying and apply it to what we know with a logical and reasonable sense among us. And of course, there's going to be a ton of people who throw backlash at Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and who want to cancel Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. Well, I mean, obviously we know that's not going to happen. You're not going to cancel Charles Barkley. He's not someone you can cancel. In order to be canceled, you have to actually be willing to be canceled. And when I say willing to be canceled, you have to care about being canceled. Charles Barkley does not care about none of that. Shaquille O'Neal cares about none of that. Uche Nwaneri cares about none of that. I don't care. You can't cancel somebody who don't care if you're canceling them. With this situation, I really feel like people need to settle down with their emotions about this particular case. Now, Steven Jackson also replied to a lot of this very quickly and very, fervently against what Charles Barkley was saying. And, let's take a quick look at what he had to say about that, because I think it's important to understand some things about what he said as well.
Big fella, Chuck, here you go again, man, with the same clown shit. Let me tell you this, man. That's an insult to Breonna's family. Breonna is in the same category with George Floyd, my twin, because they both was murdered by police. Them bullets wasn't for her. She did nothing wrong. So therefore she was murdered. Just like Twin was murdered. So for you to get up on TV and say all that clown shit you saying just because you got a platform, you looking real weak by the day. You looking real weak by the day. Y'all quick to jump on the narrative and try to make me apologize for some shit that I didn't even say that you wasn't gonna get. But know what you talking about. We taking Breonna just as serious as we taking George Floyd. And she is in the same category. And we keeping it that way. And we getting justice without you.
So Stephen Jackson's reaction in this video is purely emotional, and there's not a lot of context to what he's talking about. He's not going into any real details of surrounding the entire case itself and giving, plausible and reasonable feedback to Charles Barkley about why he thinks he's wrong and what he said. He's really just coming from the standpoint of trying to shame Charles Barkley, which for me, those kind of arguments to me are usually, they fall on deaf ears in my opinion, because I want to know some details. I want you to kind of break things down and how you see it based on the details that surround the situation. Don't try to play to my emotions when I'm asking you for data, when I'm asking you for information. The emotions of it can be easily manipulated, can be easily taken, one step too far or one step too short. We've all seen it happen. You go on Facebook and you see that every day. Talk to me about what it is you think is completely unacceptable about this situation when you compare it to a George Floyd, you compare it to an Ahmaud Arbery. It's just not the same. And I agree with Charles Barkley in the most part about this situation as we know it. Now, there are some caveats in that really you can't solve, because it's just literally just a tragedy of circumstance, right? Charles Barkley's never been one to mince his words. And when he comes out and says things, a lot of times it may not be the easiest thing for people to hear at that time. And this is a situation where I think it may fall into that. This isn't an easy thing to hear coming from a brother. You know what I mean? It's not. But, if you're just being reasonable, if you're being level-headed about it, you have to realize that, it is what it is. I mean, and it's a tragedy, and she didn't deserve the outcome that came to her. But at the same time, I've never seen anybody shoot at a cop and not get shot back. So, we just have to we have to understand that that's the chronological event that happened that did majorly play into how this entire situation played out at the end of the day. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the Observer Lineman Uche Nwaneri. I appreciate you guys very much for checking out this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.